Hello everyone. Today the topic of practical session is cerebrospinal fluid examination. So at the end of the session, you should be able to enumerate the etiology of meningitis, various types of meningitis, describe the pathogenesis of meningitis, describe the differentiating factors in different types of meningitis, describe the CSF findings in different type of meningitis, and you should also be able to identify the etiology of meningitis based on the given CSF parameters. So what is meninges? It is the system of membranes which develops the central nervous system. The meninges has three layers: dura mater, that is outermost. In between there is arachnoid mater and a pia mater, which is attached to the brain parenchyma. A subarachnoid space is the space which exists between the arachnoid and the pia mater, and it is filled with the cerebrospinal fluid. So normally in adult, CSF production is usually about 500 ml per day, that is it is produced at the rate of 0.3 to 0.4 ml per minute, and total volume in adult is 90 to 150 ml, and in neonate it is 10 to 60 ml. Now how the CSF is produced? CSF is produced by the villi of choroid plexus of lateral and third ventricle, from where it goes to the fourth ventricle. Then it flows in a subarachnoid space around the brain as well as spinal cord, and finally it is absorbed by the arachnoid villi of superior sagittal sinuses. So here is a diagrammatic picture where we can see the choroid plexus, which is situated at the lining of the third and fourth ventricles. Third ventricle usually, that is a site of CSF production, from where it goes to the fourth ventricle, and from fourth ventricle through the foramen magnum it flows in the arachnoid space, which is covering the brain parenchyma, and finally it is absorbed by the arachnoid villi of the sinuses. Now what is the function of CSF? It provides the physical support to the brain. Normal weight, that is 1500 gram of brain, comes to 50 gram whenever it is suspended in CSF. It gives protective effect against sudden change in pressure, like act as a shock absorber. It is a vehicle for the excretion of waste product from brain, because the brain have no lymphatic system. So this CSF act as a vehicle for the excretion of the waste products, and it also maintains the ionic homeostasis. Now how this CSF is getting collected, and a role of opening pressure of the CSF. So CSF is collected via lumbar puncture, cisternal puncture, either from ventricular cannula and ventriculoperitoneal shunt. Manometer is attached to the syringe to measure the opening pressure. Normal opening pressure in adult range from 90 to 180 millimeter of water in lateral decubitus position, with head and legs in neutral position. In infant and children, it ranges from 10 to 100 millimeter of water in lateral decubitus position, with head and legs in neutral position. So which are the indications of CSF examination? Whenever there is a suspicion of infection, the bacterial infection is the most common cause. Whenever there is a suspicion of subarachnoid hemorrhage, malignancy, that is to detect the primary or secondary and other demyelinating diseases. So needle is inserted through the L3 between the two vertebrae, usually L3, L4 vertebra, into the subarachnoid space, and from there the CSF is getting collected. The spinal needle is inserted usually between the third and fourth lumbar vertebra, Opening pressure more than 200 millimeter of water, then not more than 2 ml of CSF should be withdrawn. Maximum CSF which can be removed is 20 ml of quantity, and serum glucose level is a prerequisite investigation for CSF analysis, and it should be done prior to 2 to 4 hours. 4 tubes are collected. First tube is collected for biochemical examination like a glucose and protein estimation, as well as to carry out the serology. Second tube is reserved for the microbiological examination to carry out the gram stain, AFB stain for detection of tuberculosis, Indian preparation for detection of cryptococcal infection, bacterial culture, to blood agar, chocolate agar, fungal culture, Sebrot's agar, and culture for tuberculosis. And 2 ml of CSF can be collected in the second tube. Third tube is reserved for the clinico-pathological examination to carry out the total cell count, differential cell count, and if there is a suspicion of malignancy, the further fourth tube can be collected for cytological examination as well as the additional test and immunological examination. In case of traumatic tape, the first container cannot be used for biochemical estimation because the results can get false result. The glass container is contraindicated for cell counts because cell addition to glass affects the cell count and differential count, and refrigeration is also contraindicated for cultural specimen because the fastidious organism which causes the meningitis cannot survive the refrigeration, and that will give a false negative result. Causes of elevated CSF pressure, that is increased CSF pressure, the conditions are congestive cardiac failure, superior vena cava syndrome, cerebral edema, thrombosis of the venous sinuses whenever there is a mass lesion, and condition which inhibits the CSF absorption. The decrease in CSF pressure happens in case of dehydration, circulatory collapse, CSF leakage, spinal subarachnoid block. Significant pressure drop occurs after removal of 1 to 2 ml, and whenever there is a chances of herniation, that also leads to the decrease in CSF pressure. Now, whenever there is a reddish CSF, that is hemorrhagic CSF, it should be differentiated whether it is a traumatic TAP or it is a truly pathogenic condition, that is a subarachnoid hemorrhage. So how to differentiate them? So traumatic TAP, it occurs in 20% cases of lumbar puncture, and the red color disappears from first container to third container, and in case of subarachnoid hemorrhage, it remains uniform from first container to third container. So diagrammatic picture which shows the first one, which shows a traumatic TAP. So initial tube is filled with a more number of RBCs followed by the lesser number of RBCs, and in case of subarachnoid hemorrhage, all 3 container tubes will have a similar numbers of RBCs. Another investigation which can help to differentiate blood tinged CSF is microscopic evidence of erythrophagocytosis, that is hemosiderin laden macrophages, which can be seen in subarachnoid hemorrhage and not in case of traumatic TAP. D-dimer will be positive in true subarachnoid hemorrhage and it will be negative in traumatic TAP. So these are the hemosiderin laden macrophages which can be seen in subarachnoid hemorrhage. CSF examination reporting pro forma is as follow, so which includes physical, chemical, cytological and bacteriological examination. Physical examination will include color, transparency, presence of cobweb or coagulum formation in whenever there is a tuberculosis, and presence of xanthochromia, that is a yellowish coloration of CSF. Chemical examination includes the protein estimation, test for globin, sugar qualitative and quantitative test, chloride estimation, and miscellaneous For example, rarely for enzymes and lactic acid level. Cytological examination includes total cell count, differential cell count, presence of abnormal cells, and bacteriological examination is carried out via staining of the smears like Gram stain, Zellen stain, and culture sensitivity testing. During microscopic examination, we can find the total cell count as well as differential cell count. So total WBC count in adult CSF is ranging from 0 to 5 cells per cubic liter, and normal WBC count in neonate is ranging from 0 to 30 cell per microliter, and there is a no RBCs in normal CSF. On weight preparation, the most of the cellular content is comprising of mononuclear cell, accounting for the 70%, and usually it is lymphocytes, and 30% are polymorphonuclear cell, mainly neutrophils. So various differential leukocyte counts are helpful in diagnosis of various conditions affecting the CSF, like increased neutrophil in CSF. The conditions responsible are bacterial meningitis, brain abscess, brain infarct, and repeated lumbar puncture. Increased lymphocyte count in CSF can be seen in case of viral meningitis, tuberculous meningitis, parasitic meningitis, and fungal infection. Normally plasma cells are absent, but whenever there is a presence of plasma cell, the conditions like tuberculous meningitis, syphilitic meningoencephalitis, multiple myeloma, and malignant brain tumor should be suspected. Whenever there is a lymphocyte as well as monocytes are present in CSF, there can be a viral meningitis, degenerative brain disorders, tuberculous meningitis, fungal meningitis, sarcoidosis of meninges. All these conditions are responsible for increased number of lymphocytes and monocytes. And whenever there is a malignant cells in CSF, the reasons are metastatic cancer, leukemias, lymphomas, medulloblastoma, and ependymoma. So these are the blast cells which are present in CSF. Again, these are lymphoblast. CSF protein. 80% of CSF protein is derived from blood plasma, and normal CSF protein value is 15 to 45 milligram per deciliter. Conditions which are associated with increased CSF total protein are traumatic spinal puncture and increased blood CSF permeability. The conditions are arachnoiditis following methotrexate therapy, meningitis. All kind of meningitis are responsible for increase in a protein content, whether it is a bacterial, viral, fungal, or tuberculous. And hemorrhages like subarachnoid hemorrhage and intracerebral hemorrhage both can lead to the increased total protein content. CSF glucose normal value range from 45 to 80 milligram per deciliter, that is 2/3 or 60% of the plasma value, and normal CSF glucose divided by plasma glucose ratio is 0.3 to 0.9. CSF glucose whenever there is less than 0.3 or less than 40 milligram per deciliter, the causes should be suspected are bacterial meningitis, tuberculous meningitis, and fungal meningitis. Increased CSF protein is not significant seen in traumatic type. So recovery after treatment, the picture will be usually the highest amount is glucose followed by protein, and lowest amount will be cellular counts. CSF lactate is also important parameter. Normal value is 9 to 26 milligram per deciliter, and whenever the CSF lactate is less than 25 milligram per deciliter, viral meningitis should be suspected, and if the lactate level is more than 35 milligram per deciliter, the bacterial meningitis should be suspected. Persistently elevated CSF lactate has poor prognostic value in case of severe head injury patients. Now meningitis. So meningitis is an inflammatory involvement of the meninges. Various etiological factors are contributing for the development of meningitis, like bacterial, the commonest cause is viral, fungal, parasitic or protozoal, physical injury, cancer, certain drugs, head injury following the cerebral abscess, and middle ear infection, that is chronic suppurative otitis media. Bacterial agents in neonatal, E. coli and group B streptococci are the most common. In infants, Haemophilus influenza is most common. Adolescents and young adults, Neisseria meningitis is most common, followed by the Streptococcus pneumoniae. In elderly, Listeria monocytogenes and Streptococcus pneumoniae are most commonly responsible for development of bacterial meningitis. Viral agents are enterovirus, the most common, followed by mumps virus, Coxsackie virus, HSV2 and EBV virus. Fungal agents like Candida albicans, Cryptococcus neoformans, Blastomyces dermatitis and Coccidio decimetidis are responsible. Fungal meningitis usually occurs in immunocompromised patients, and parasitic meningitis is occurring as a result of protozoa, nematodes or cystodes infection. Types of meningitis are, broadly, the meningitis has been divided into two types of meningitis: pachymeningitis whenever the dura is involved, and leptomeningitis whenever the pia and arachnoid matter are involved. Classically or traditionally, the leptomeningitis is known as meningitis, and mainly three types of meningitis, that is leptomeningitis, are classified. One is acute pyogenic meningitis occurring as a result of bacterial causes, acute lymphocytic meningitis, that is occurring due to viral infection, or it is also known as aseptic meningitis, and chronic meningitis, which is occurring by tuberculosis and cryptococcal meningitis. So, what is the pathogenesis of bacterial meningitis? So, in nasopharynx, usually there is a colonization by bacteria in epithelial cells, and whenever this bacteria gets locally invaded into the intravascular space by transportation across the epithelial cells in membrane bound vacuoles, or by creating separations in apical tight junction, there will be a formation of or development of bacteremia, and bacteria avoids the phagocytosis due to the presence of polysaccharide capsules. They reach the choroid plexus, or they can adhere to the cerebral capillary endothelium, and after that they gain access to the CSF, and after getting access to the CSF they get rapidly multiplied, and there will be lysis of bacteria. The lysis of bacteria will lead to the release of bacterial components, and this release of various bacterial components are responsible for various pathological effects like cytotoxic edema, cerebral microvascular endothelium damage, which leads to the increased blood-brain barrier permeability, and also changes of vascularities develop. There will be vasogenic edema and leakage of the serum proteins into the subarachnoid space, and this lead to the CSF flow obstruction and decreased CSF reabsorption. And because of this CSF flow obstruction, there will be formation of hydrocephalus. Again, due to the release of bacterial components, there will be macrophage activation and release of cytokines like interleukin 1 and tumor necrosis factor, and this leads to the subarachnoid space inflammation, which leads to increased CSF outflow resistance and increased intracranial pressure. All this condition leads to the hydrocephalus development, and because of this hydrocephalus there is decrease in the cerebral blood flow, and patient will develop a coma. So various CSF picture in normal individuals and different type of meningitis. This picture is very much, these CSF parameters are very much helpful in differentiating the various meningitis types. So starting with the pressure, normal pressure is less than 20 centimeter of water. In acute pyogenic meningitis, it is highly increased. In tuberculosis, it is moderately increased, and in viral meningitis, it is slightly increased. Direct examination like cell count per cubic millimeter and predominant cell. Whenever the cell count is normal CSF count or cell count is 1 to 3 cell per cubic millimeter, and usually predominant cells are the lymphocyte. In case of acute pyogenic meningitis, the cell count is drastically increased, that is ranging from 1000 to 20,000 cells per cubic millimeter, and predominant component is neutrophil in pyogenic meningitis. In tuberculosis, the cell count is moderately increased, ranging from 50 to 500 cells per cubic millimeter, and lymphocytes are the predominant cell, ranging from 90% of the component. In viral meningitis, also there will be lymphocyte, and cell count is moderately increased, ranging from 10 to 500. Biochemical analysis include the protein and sugar estimation. Normally, protein content is 30 to 45, and it is highly increased in case of acute pyogenic meningitis, moderately increased in tuberculosis, and slightly increased in viral meningitis. Sugar level is normal is 40 to 80 milligram percent, and it is drastically reduced in acute pyogenic meningitis because of the consumption by the bacteria, that is ranging from 10 to 20 milligram percent. Also reduced in tuberculous meningitis, but it is normal in case of viral meningitis. So normal sugar is indicative of viral meningitis. Bacterial examination will include Gram stain as well as Zellin stain. Normal CSF will not reveal any kind of organism. In acute pyogenic meningitis, there will be presence of gram positive cocci, gram negative cocci, gram negative bacilli, and gram positive bacilli. And on Zellin staining, there will be presence of acid fast bacilli in case of tuberculous meningitis. On culture examination, there will be specific medium are required for pyogenic meningitis or bacterial meningitis. Tuberculous meningitis will require Lowenstein-Janssen medium, and viral meningitis also requires the different cell cultures. So to conclude the things, the CSF diagnosis, while doing the CSF diagnostic for meningitis, first the leukocyte count should be looked after. So whenever there is an increase in leukocyte count, the C for the differential count. Further on further saying the differential count, if there is a polymorphonuclear cells are the predominantly increased, the bacterial meningitis should be suspected. And whenever the predominantly increased cellular component is lymphocyte, then again we have to look for the another biochemical parameter, that is glucose estimation. In case of fungal or tuberculous meningitis, glucose level will be drastically decreased, and in case of viral meningitis, glucose will remain normal. And all these 3 or 4 kind of meningitis, there will be increased protein content. So if leukocyte count is not increased less than 5 and protein level is normal, there are lesser chances of having meningitis. So the children with compatible clinical signs and symptoms, whenever there is a fever, knuckle rigidity, mental status alteration, the baseline investigation like lumbar puncture is carried out, and CSF analysis and culture is being carried out. So positive CSF or blood culture, or positive gram staining, or CSF total leukocyte count more than 1000 per cubic millimeter with any of either 1 CSF neutrophil more than 1 per cubic millimeter, CSF sugar less than 50% of serum sugar, CSF protein more than 50 mg per deciliter, the bacterial meningitis should be suspected. And whenever there is a negative CSF and blood culture with positive PCR or positive serology, or CSF pleocytosis less than 1000 per cubic millimeter with any of the 1 predominant lymphocytic pleocytosis, CSF sugar more than 60% of blood sugar, or CSF protein range from 50 to 250 milligram per deciliter, the viral meningitis should be suspected. So here are the two cases for revision. A 25-year-old male patient come to hospital with complaint of fever with chills, severe headache, nausea, vomiting and stiffening. An investigation carried out was CSF examination. In that case, the glucose was 30 milligram per deciliter, protein is 100 milligram per deciliter, and differential count is 90% lymphocyte and 10% polymorph. So diagnostic clue here is fever with headache, nausea, vomiting and stiffening. Whenever there is stiffening and CSF is carried out, so think for the meningitis. Glucose level is mildly decreased, protein level is increased, and there is presence of lymphocytes. So in case the two conditions which we have to think, either it can be a tuberculous meningitis or there can be a viral meningitis. But in viral meningitis, glucose level remains normal. So here we can give the diagnosis, it is tuberculous meningitis. Another case is a 30-year-old male patient came to hospital with a complaint of fever with chills, severe headache, convulsion and stiffening, and CSF examination findings are glucose 20 milligram per deciliter, protein is 350 milligram per deciliter, and the differential count were 90% polymorphs and 10% lymphocyte. Again here convulsion and stiffening are the symptoms related to brain pathologies, and CSF examination has been carried out where we can see the glucose which is drastically decreased, protein is drastically increased, and the clue is differential count where we can see the 90% of the polymorph. So whenever in WBC count is increased and there is a increased polymorph population, that is a predominant population is polymorph, directly think about the pyogenic meningitis. So the diagnosis is acute pyogenic meningitis. So this completes our CSF examination. Thank you so much.